Hi, folks. This is Rick Emmett of Triumph.
This is Mark Merrill, also known as Johnny B. Bad.
Hi, this is a best-selling author. I threw the best-selling in there. Best-selling author Dick Wybrow.
I'm Melanie from Second Shooter.
This is Jeff with Second Shooter.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Allen from Bridges Ablaze.
Hey, this is Sammy Lee, drummer of the band Red Rain.
Yo guys, it's Mark McKay.
Hey, this is Frank Fletcher.
Hola amigos, this is Billy Sheehan.
Hey guys, this is John Karabi.
Hi, this is Jim Valance.
What's up everybody, it's Logan from All the Pretty Things.
Hey guys, it's Leather Leone.
What's up guys, Cassandra Carson here from Paralandra and the Life Project.
My name's Reggie and you are listening to the Weekly Pour podcast. Thanks so much for joining the most amazing twosome out there.
It's time once again for the Weekly Pour, the show that knows everything about absolutely nothing. Here are your hosts, TbT and Ace.
What's up, guys? It is me. It is TbT. It's also Ace. And as soon as I get something back here, looks like we lost one of our guys. We're gonna give NoOne a little bit of time here to jump back on. Anyway,
yeah, I'm in.
Well, then who did we lost? Nothing.
No, I'm here.
We've lost no one. We've lost nothing. We've lost it all.
There we go. There we go. Now we're back in. All right. Now we just have to play around a little bit. Yeah, we've had technical difficulties for like the last 10 minutes, which, is kind of why we're doing what we're doing, and everybody's flipping across the screen. But nonetheless, we're going to jump right into this. So let me, without further ado, give a proper introduction to our guests. Our guests first discovered their electrifying chemistry as part of the dynamic group Loser, playing alongside current Motley Crue guitarist John Five. After evolving and expanding their lineup, they released their very first EP just last year, featuring 5 explosive tracks that get the blood pumping. This powerhouse trio has hit the ground running and is poised for a whirlwind of unparalleled success. Please join us in giving a warm welcome to 2/3 or 66.666% of Inside the Trojan Horse. This is NoOne and NoThing. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We're going to jump right into this. We've been jamming your guys' tunes for probably about the past month. Finally got caught up with you guys on social media. Tell us how this whole EP came about, how you guys got going, and just where you're at right now.
I mean, it started back in the early days, obviously, when Charles and I were touring together in Loser and becoming friends and, brothers, if you will. And it evolved as we became involved in other projects, moving in and out of each other. We would always connect and record and write and come up with these batches of songs. Through the years, this happened. And as we got closer to 2022, 2023, we started to realize it was time. We've been in so many different things. It's time to really hone this stuff and really deliver the goods and connect and bring it out and release this music finally, instead of sitting on it for so long. And some of it's newer, some of it, it's over the years. So we've been writing and recording and honing our skills as writers and recording artists on the new way, with Pro Tools, where everything, back in the day it was 2-inch tape, obviously. Now it's Pro Tools, and if you can master your craft, you can put out anything. You can record and produce anything. And then we work with an external mixing engineer, of course, Evan. But Charles and I, aka NoOne, my name's Joe, obviously, aka NoOne. I'm sorry, NoThing, and I'm NoOne. Basically, the chemistry's been there for so long, and it was like static. We were pulling away but pulling together, and when it came back together, now we just rehearsed this morning, and we had a really good rehearsal. It felt really good, and it's been a long time coming for the two of us, to bring this thing to the table, and I'm pretty excited. You want to add anything there? Nothing?
Yeah, like he's saying, a lot of these songs were actually written like up to 15 years ago, which is kind of interesting, and they're just coming out now. And so it's surprising to hear people receive it the way they are. I'm like, wow, that's 15 years ago that came about. And when Loser broke up, we initially decided that, hey, let's start a project together. Instead of me playing bass, I'll play guitar and, write songs. So we started and we had no idea how to use Pro Tools or how to produce our own music. So we had to, that was a painstaking process in and of itself that took many years to what you hear now, which we do everything ourselves. And funny enough, we're going to be releasing another EP of 3 songs here in a couple months called Origins, which is like 3 of our oldest songs, but they just turned out so cool. And it'll be a fun direction to take the band. It's going to be a little bit more punk rock and raw, but still really hard and heavy.
Yeah, it's definitely still hard rock, but it's more stripped down, almost, like Heavy Sabbath or something at times, and other versions of that. It's really cool. It's great to look at the different levels and phases we worked through. It's exciting to bring it all together and release it in sections so it represents that time and that space that reflects that moment that we were in.
Yeah.
Right.
I give you a good example. Sorry?
You're saying these songs have been around quite some time, up to 15 years, but they have this modern, fresh sheen put on them. So when you decided to record them, did you have to update them or rework them in any way? Or were you just ahead of your time?
I re-recorded every one of those songs no less than 5 times, literally. Like from the beginning, from like stupid mistakes, like, hey, we accidentally deleted the whole session. Fuck. Okay. Or, stuff like that in the beginning. Oh, we didn't record it to a metronome click, so we have to redo it. To, I went through a breakup and my ex-girlfriend destroyed my hard drive. There you go. Start over again.
Oh, no.
So that
tried to get those back. We tried.
Yeah, I tried to get those back. So probably I'd say in the last, since 2022, I just re-recorded everything that we had from our catalog and just redid everything. Joe re-sang everything. And so, yeah, and while I was retracking everything, I'm like, wait a minute, I can play this instead of this now. And it still works and it sounds cooler, now that I'm more advanced in my playing and comfortable in my own skin, as it were. So yeah, I think that's part of that kind of the modern flair you're probably hearing.
Plus a revisioning of that moment, because the whole thing with the approach that I use when writing and recording vocals is I usually do it right in the moment. While I'm recording in real time, I'm writing in real time, and that kind of adds to the construct of not thinking about it, just kind of being a vent. And so I was real hesitant about trying to recapture some of these fucking moments, you know what I'm saying? It was really daunting in a sense. But actually, after, I'm not going to say it was easy, because reapproaching things is never easy, and you find new ways to do things, and you find extra things to put on the tail of something that really makes the next part punch. So it was definitely a cakewalk dance of trying to get out of the headspace of when you got out of the headspace initially, but it actually worked out really good, and I'm really happy. There was a lot of work involved with it, but man, I'm really fucking happy with where we ended up, because Charles and I really worked hard to get to this moment especially on these songs. And then, the songs that you've heard aren't as old as the next batch. The next batch is called Origins for a reason. That's the EP title. And those songs go back to the initial core. These songs, are more like, I would say 2015 to 2021. Am I wrong on that? Nothing?
No, some of them are older. Like How They Run is actually like 2010. And then Burn is as new as 2019.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I get dialogues and times. We both been out of bands and tour, all kinds of shit since then. So, and we've been moving in and out of each other. And now everything's coming to the alignment of this band and this mentality for us. So it's a long timeline. It really is. It's like we've been in a band, like any band I've been in, where it was like it took 9 years to get us there, 8 years to get us there. It's like we've been working on this fucking thing forever. So, and I feel like we've locked in together on how to present what we've got and how to really channel it and just be true to it. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things that I was looking at when I was doing research on you guys and listening to the music. It may be in the sense of new fans. It may be new to them, but this isn't your first rodeo. I mean, you guys have been involved in the music business for forever. It seems like with past projects and all that stuff, and to keep going now with this and putting out this stuff, which is absolutely amazing so far. And we've only got 5. We're totally looking forward to the next set that are coming out. I know, at least for me, I've been jamming Blood and Teeth for probably about the past week, because it just slams and it's just so good, and it's octane worthy. That's like the best way to put it. That's where it needs to be. We need Jose
Yeah.
Mangan right now to jump in and be like, "Hey, let's get that shit on there."
Yeah, well, I would love to get that shit on there. That is a sleeper track too. You don't expect it to go where it goes.
Oh no, not at all.
So it's a dichotomy for sure. It's very kinetic though. It starts out in a sexual tone almost, and then it becomes this cathartic just release of just nobody's gonna take me fucking down ever, kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's funny actually. When I originally sent the original idea, the music idea to NoOne, and he sent me back the vocals, how it started. I was like, that's so cool. It reminded me of like a 70s style, or like something like the Doors or something, like the harmonies and stuff. And I was like, I would have never thought that to do that there. That's so cool. So I'm really excited how that one turned out. Stay Alive.
Hold on,
Was a
I got to
really
say
fun one.
something on Blood and Teeth, Charles, real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I will give you all the space in the world, but I wanted to use an anecdote. When he sends me these, pieces of music for me to just go crazy on and do what I do, he fucking has weird little titles in the moment. And, occasionally I'll be like, what? And he sent me, this was called Blood and Teeth. And I was like, I'm not changing that. Nobody can make me change that title. And I actually wrote a song in the moment that actually, looking back now, is a confessional in a sense, of just the path of one, trying to find himself, and fucking shit up and fucking himself up, self-sabotage, just a whole 9 yards. It doesn't sound like it's got that much in it, but it's got more than that. And I'd never confess exactly what it's about, but honestly, that song blew my fucking mind. And when I wrote it, it blew my fucking mind. And I had to push for that to get into this, because we were having more symmetry style heavy rock songs and back in the day, and I don't know if Charles was as jazzed on this song as I was, but I pushed for the song. And it's ironic because he titled it, and that's a rarity, when he because usually I'll retitle it and come up with a concept in my mind, which actually isn't even a fucking concept. I just write whatever happens in the moment. But Blood and Teeth just immediately captured me. It possessed me. And it's one of my favorite songs to listen back to. The first few times I heard it done up, it brought me to tears for sure. It was very, very real.
I used to come up with an idea and I would just call it the date that I did it. But then I would try to find the song again in my hard drive, and there's all these fucking dates. I'm like, God damn it, which one was it? So I started just titling them the first thing that came to my mind. It'd be called Hammer in the Sickle, Blood and Teeth, whatever. I would just title them. And yeah, so I sent him that as the working title that I was working on. And then he was like, dude, yeah. So he kept that one, which was pretty cool.
So that was, you said, the working title. Did you just send him music with no lyrics?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, didn't think about that, especially for our listeners. If you think about that, you sent music, you called it Blood and Teeth, and then NoOne goes in there and creates these, phenomenal lyrics to go along with that. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's our chemistry, really. His music launches whatever. I become a vent of something else. I don't even want to try and fucking corral it into a terminology, or a statement or a name. But something happens. It's fucking one of the most. Sometimes I actually lose consciousness on the floor when I'm in that moment. I'm really delivering something that I'm just now writing, and I'm hitting a passionate moment. It's religious, straight up. I mean, honestly, it's very spiritual, and I'm thankful to have him on that. Sorry to cut you off there again. Nothing. The floor is yours.
It's like strike three.
Yeah. No, but I don't know how it works, and I just thank God every day that I can do it. But I just feel it. I'm like, oh, I should go sit down right now and just turn on the Pro Tools, and I'll just or before I would go over to NoOne's house, and we would jam there, and that's where Stay Alive was formed. I was like, dude, I have a song, I know it. I don't have a riff in mind. I just know that it's there, right? And so I go to his house. I get locked into his bathroom with all my amps behind me, and they're all mic'd up. And next thing you know, Stay Alive. It just I don't know how it works, but that's how it works for me. It's almost like I could pick it out of the ether, the idea, and then just I just let it flow through.
Did we just lose him?
It looks like we lost him.
Okay.
But I get the premise of it, and NoOne, you can kind of correct me if I'm wrong here, but would that be, the way you guys do that? I mean, that's almost very, it's almost reflective of how, of the name of the band, Inside the Trojan Horse. I mean, you don't know what's there. And just like the music gets sent, you don't know what's there lyrically, and then you throw it together, and it's like, boom, here we go.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the creative process. Is it holds true 100%, and what Charles and I have developed over the years is he can send me something, I don't have to listen to it. I can just go in the studio, drop it into a session, create a waveform, create a bunch of vocal tracks with my chain, and just hit record and just go. And usually 9 out of 10 times, like when the hammer strikes the needle, we go down. Yes, we do. That came out immediately. That was the first thing that I fucking wrote. I didn't even think about it. And most of that song is like off the cuff. Of course, I go back and tweak things here and there, but generally the best ones. No, I can't say every time, because there's a combination, and it's all kind of tangents and diversions and psychodramas, if you will. But the bottom line is, the best time in that song in particular happened in a spiritual moment of possession. I was not writing. I was not centralizing an image. I was not creating, oh, I'm going to write a song about this. I just heard it for the first time. I dropped it in there and heard it for the first time. And whatever happened in that reaction, reflection, is what came out. And that's what I love about it. I don't want to contain anything in art. That's what I'm not worried about, moving units or creating a 3-minute songs or anything. We don't care about the length. We don't care about any of that. Whatever serves us in the moment. And when we hear it done up and we're like, and it blows our mind, then that's what we've done. We're happy to do it. We love it.
Yeah. I just finished a 6.5-minute song last night called Insomnia. That's a cool one. That one's gonna be fun. If that one ever sees the light of day, it's real interesting. Lots of moving parts. It's way more progressive than anything else we've done.
We're gonna write that one down, and we keep an eye out for it.
And these are roles in the songwriting process that you both have adopted from the beginning. One lyrically and melodically, and then the other with all the music.
Yeah, pretty much. In the beginning, we would work together, but as I built my own studio, I started working more at home because I didn't have to go anywhere to do it, and I would just write. And then next thing you know, I'm emailing him riffs, and I'm like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? I mean, we probably have close to, I'd say, at least 15 fully finished songs that we'll never release. So, and then I have at least 60 more musical pieces that are completely finished that we just need to, it's all about which ones go well together,
On my drives from the initial development of this, I have a ton, because I would have him come over, and I live in this old house. I live in Florida. We both live in Florida. He's just recently come here as well. But I was in the Hollywood Hills in a place called Laurel Canyon, in a 100-year-old house, really old, fucking dark, kind of cool, vibey, log cabiny kind of vibe. I would put him in this big 70s fucking style all tile kind of big bathroom that I had, and just we'd smoke some weed and fucking stick him in there with some headphones and to talk about it. We'd just talk, and he'd just go off and I'd record everything, and then I'd basically stay up all night just smoking weed and stay the next day. And then when he'd come back over, I'd have all this shit chopped up. And so that's how I blew a lot of my hearing out, is I would, unfortunately, he tried to warn me. My girlfriend tried to warn me. Everybody tried to warn me. But I back then, I was listening to everything at like Mach 11. So it was like, I blew out my fucking shit a little bit. But now, and I had to take all the hard hits of trying to figure out how to, where session file backups are and stupid shit that I know now, but we know now the back of the head. So I took all the initial hits, and then Charles, as he got a rig and built a studio and stuff, he became this fucking ninja. And I was like, fuck, just send me whatever you fucking like, and I'll just write. I don't even want to chop it up. I don't want to rearrange it. I just want to write to it. And that's what I've been doing now, and we've been doing now. And it's really great, because some of the songs are a challenge, like the one that we were working on recently, which it was a pain in the ass because it didn't make any sense, but I fucking wrote and rewrote. It's one of those ones that I did actually, and we're still working on it. So that one will take some time. And then some of them, like Blood and Teeth, just pop out of the oven ready to go,
Well, if you've got all these that you guys have worked on in the past, and you have 15, 20 or whatever, how did you narrow it down to the 5 that were released for this most recent EP?
That's a good question. That was a process for sure. We talked about it, and we kind of agreed unanimously, like, these have to come out, like, for sure. And then the 3 that are on the EP, those were contenders. The next EP, those were contenders as well. But I didn't think at the time they were as strong as these 5 songs, but now that they're mixed and mastered, and he re-sang everything, and I replayed a bunch of guitar stuff, they sound awesome. They sound just as.
We just got the mix back for one of them recently, and it's we're still in recalls. We got one more recall, but dude, it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit! Because the last time, the last we hear of this is the demos that we've been working on since 2011 or 12 or whenever the song came into fruition. It's pretty nuts to hear it now, like sounding like as good as anything we put out. It's like, oh shit, that. And to answer your question a little more in detail, we're releasing it in snapshots of time, the songs that go together and reflect a period of time and have a cohesive vibe to it, like mini albums, basically. We started out with singles, which is the first 5 is EP1, which is ITTH, if you will. The second EP takes us back to the beginning, origins, and we're building from there. So, and we are also writing new stuff, and Charles is getting really progressive, and really interesting. And so that pushes me to be progressive and interesting. And, but we're always going to have that, I don't know what it is, that core hard rock sound. I don't see us, dancing off into the sunset with twinkle toes. So I feel like it's going to be anything that he throws my way is going to challenge me and set me off. So I'm excited about what comes next. There are a lot of pieces in the works now, as well as the back catalog is quite lofty. We've got a lot of stuff to choose from.
Well, of the 5 that we have so far, which one was I don't want to say the most difficult for you to write, but which one took the longest?
Which one
was the hardest?
No, which one took the longest? I guess longest to get the full concept behind, the music and the lyrics together.
What do you think from your perspective, Charles? NoOne? Charles? Nothing? I can't even remember our names today.
Believe it or not, I think Savior was, because Savior went through so many rewrites. Like if you listen to Savior's first verse and then you listen to Savior's second verse, it's completely different. It's not musically the same at all, but it used to be. And then the guitar solo section and just like rewriting that, and like, so for me, guitar wise, Savior was one of the most complex. And honestly, I was really proud of that when that was done. I was like, man, that's real. Like those are some cool, unique changes. I really, I like stuff like, oh yeah, that's a verse, but it's not the same as the first verse at all. And so that became stylistically something that I do a lot now, where I'm like, I don't want to reuse the same part for this part. Let's just make another part, as long as it works with the vocal melody. So I would say that, and then how they run ended up taking quite a bit more work than you would think it would have. But some of them came together really easy. Like, so what happened was, like with Burn, for example, I had just left Gemini Syndrome and I was feeling really shitty about how that whole situation ended. And I didn't play guitar for 3 years after that.
Wow.
And then one day I picked up my guitar and I turned on the Pro Tools, and I just went like right away. I was like, okay, that's cool.
There's something there.
Yeah, and that one, just the whole thing just fell out of me in like 3 hours, like the rough demo of the sketch of the song. But yes, I would say, and Stay Alive, NoOne crafted a lot of it, like, because I was locked in the bathroom, like he said, and I would record like riffs, like long sections of riffs. Then I switch pedals and making these sounds, or these sounds, and then he edited them all together and painstakingly like turned it into the song, the structure that it is now. So yeah, they were all kind of tricky, but yeah, I would say the easiest one for me, believe it or not, was actually Blood and Teeth, because it was an idea that I wasn't sure that was going to work for our band because of how ethereal it sounds in the beginning, and then I showed it to him. He's like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, Blood and Teeth was definitely the easiest, like I described earlier, because it was most of it was a stream of consciousness in the moment, right off the cuff. And that's why I don't even like to fuck with, I don't want to hear it usually until I get into there and I have a track set up, because the first time you hear something, that first time you hear something, you get that little tickle in your pickle, you know what I'm saying? And fucking get you a vibe on. And I got to capture that moment, because that's what it's all about. But the hardest definitely would be Stay Alive, the one I spent the most time on, because that was back when I was like, spending dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of hours manipulating riffs into songs, which I don't have to do anymore because Charles is the master of that fucking plan. So I'm able to fucking completely now lose myself in the lyric, melody, and vocal, and the production of that.
The new EP that's coming out, Origins, as you've already stated, 3-song EP, and I guess the premise was that it's going to be spring of 2025, or are we looking at it sooner?
Spring, definitely spring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
we're
I
getting
guess spring
mixes
for you
right
guys
now.
is like next week. For us, it's like another 3 months.
Yeah,
oh, thank God, we have 3 months.
We have to work with our mixing engineer, and our mixing engineer actually works with Lacey Sturm, and he's actually going to be on tour in a couple of weeks with her for a brief period. And once he gets back, we'll be able to continue on with the mixes. So we've been getting the mixes. He has to go on tour. We knew this was coming, and then he'll go on it's like a 3-week tour or whatever it is, and he'll come back, and we'll get those mixes. And we're quick on this. We got the first one dialed in, and it's a bang. The first, what will be the lead single, which it'll all come out at the same time. But it'll be the one with the video, right out of the gates in the single, which is called Children, which is a really fucking interesting song. I mean, it's definitely, it goes somewhere. And now with the modernization of it and the reapproach, it's not really reapproach because I didn't really change too much. I just added more emphasis and sang it with the because your voice changes over a decade, and as we we turn into old blues singers eventually, all of us, if we're pushing the fucking, the noodle hard. And that's what
Or
I'm turning into.
podcast
So I had to
hosts.
get that cohesive with the rest of the songs, that that thing that only decades of burning at your voice and smoking weed and whatever else you've done throughout your fucking past get you. You can't buy it at the store, so we reapproached it, and now it's just it goes somewhere for me because it tells a story briefly about when I was younger, living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and my friend Corey, his parents put him away in this place called the Shadow Mountain Institute. It was a reformatory kind of psychiatric kind of school for children in Tulsa, in the north side of Tulsa, in a place on a hill called Shadow Mountain. So there are parts of that about me breaking him out, which it just plays into the story. I don't want to give away too much, which I already have. I hate fucking doing that, but it's cool because it's a long time coming. And there's a long history of, getting a gun to my face by this guy. I lived with this, robbed my house. I had to beat him with a fucking broomstick to get him out. And then he fucking pulled a gun on me. Like, all kinds of crazy shit happened. So it's really cool to see this song come out, if that makes any sense.
I think I need the story.
Not just that, I need the video.
So let me ask a question a little more on the business side of this. You guys are an independent band, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So the model seems to be, in the last handful of years, singles, EPs, maybe a tour, but a lot of singles, EPs. Your videos are really eclectic as well, and you're shooting those yourself, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
they're really they're kind of freaky in a humorous way because you have the masks, and especially with the eyeballs. That really gets me. But your singles, EPs. But how does that project into a long form album? How does that get onto radio? Or is that the model? Is that the goal even?
Well, the normal model is to work with the machine and get in the position. We've all been there. I've been on Island Def Jam Records. Charles is.
Right.
We've all been in signed bands, basically. Actually, Charles was there with me. What am I talking about? We were on the same Loser. So as well as multiple other bands and multiple other labels and managers you couldn't even imagine, and booking agencies you couldn't imagine, CAA, the agency group, all kinds of good little trinkets for your soul. But for me personally, at this stage of the game, when there's really nothing to fucking lose, man, except your fucking soul, if you give up like a punk ass bitch, which we all find moments of that shit. But I mean, let's be honest. It's never too fucking late. It's only one excuse away from fucking doing it. And so this is the year and the time where I call it a revelation apocalypse. Everybody feared the apocalypse, and it seemed like the apocalypse was coming there for a minute. I'm not going to fucking lie. But let's be honest. Now, it's very fucking lucid. We are in a revelation apocalypse where all the shit from all the historical times that we've ever not known or whatever you want to interpret is bubbling to the fucking surface so everybody can see it in all its fucking glory. And this is the time where it's up to each individual to empower himself and find his path, whatever it is. I don't care if you take your doo-doo and put pictures on the wall with it. It doesn't matter. Whatever gets you going, whatever you feel. And this is the time, and it's a DIY situation. Nobody's going to love you like you can love you. If you can love yourself like somebody would love Christ or a fucking celebrity or something like that, not in a non-egocentric way, and take care of yourself and go inside and move outward, you can do anything once you channel and focus your energy. I digress, but honestly, it's a DIY time to take the reins. And I've never felt better as I did when I first started a band called Jive for the first however many years. When I was the booking agent, I was doing everything. I had my hands on everything because I knew what was happening. And I enjoyed that, even though it was manic and fucking tragic, if you will, in my pubescent, obviously my youth, if you will. I love that. And I think we all, as we get, older and we grow, we find our central core and where our strengths are, and we pay attention. And that's what we've been doing now. And NoThing and I have found how to do this and make this happen. And we both bring different elements that creates the whole picture to make this happen, whether it's doing our own music videos, doing our own photos, doing our recording and producing our own music, whatever it may be, any facet. And that's the liberating part, because
coming up with the names, coming up with all the artwork for everything. We do everything.
It looks great too. The artwork for some of the stuff on your website is incredibly professional looking. It looks great.
Thanks. Appreciate that. It's been a lot of work.
And I see a concept too, visually, with what you're doing. You have, the suits right here and the masks. To me, that translates to an on-stage performance, or it could really, really well. Do you have plans to do something like that? Do you have a concept in your mind of what you want to do?
Definitely, like that. The plan is to make it not about us. That's why he's NoOne, I'm NoThing, and our drummer's Nobody, and you don't see our face. It's not about us. It's about just the message.
All about the music.
Yeah.
And we are actually in the early stages of what would be considered pre-production for live shows. Right now, NoThing and I, that's what we got to do. And then we're back. NoThing and I have been actually rehearsing lately, and we're getting into this now. And this morning, we actually had a really, really solid rehearsal, and I'm feeling really good. We're getting to that point. The thing is, we need to have a collection of songs that people know out, which we've got 5 out, and we're about to have 3 out. That's 8 in spring. So, that sounds like a coinkerdinker for some live shows. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We agree.
Right. Yeah. That would be fantastic. And then you got to fill out the sound. You've got all this music. So how do you fill out the sound live? There's 3 of you, and one's not playing an instrument, or would you play one live?
No.
I won't be playing an instrument.
Just like Periphery. You guys heard of Periphery?
Yes.
Live, they don't have a bass player. The bass is on track. That's what it'll be. We'll have a bass amp on stage that a track is playing the bass that I recorded, just to keep it as a 3-piece. And I don't feel bad about that. We want to keep it streamlined for now, especially in the beginning, keep costs down. But eventually, yes, I would love to have another guitarist and a bass player for sure.
We've already got guys, actually, if you will, on deck, I feel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. If you don't, you got to be choosy, especially with the way you guys are doing things. You don't want to just bring, the first easy person on. So that's good to hear that you guys have people on deck.
We also DIYing this. One of the major rules of DIY is to keep things. And I was the first guy back in the day to say, let's get giant drum cases and fucking amps to the wall and everything. And then you got to move that shit around, and you got to bring, crew and band. In order for us to make this happen the right way, we're going to keep it streamlined at first so we can get off the ground and get fucking going and connect with the people that like our music and build that fucking realm. We're in Florida now. We're going to be moving between Texas, on up into the Midwest and all the way over, down the East Coast. That's going to be our, the big portion of the South Central East, of the U.S. is going to be our main touring area for now. And that's what we're going to build on. So it'll be sparse at first, or maybe it won't, but realistically, it'll be a show or two here as we're building over the month. And then you'll start to see more connect as we develop it and we get more opportunities to present themselves.
Well, I'm glad you threw in the Midwest because, you need to at least get north enough up to Indiana so that we can get close enough to see you guys.
Oh, hell yeah. Definitely, man. You guys are you guys are in the East. So, you guys are in the East And the East
And
is
we
really
already,
easy to tour. You know, we just moved. I was in LA for 17 years. Charles, pretty much the same. And, you know, there it's touring out of there is a pain in the ass because there's not a lot of, you got to drive for days through deserts and mountains to get places. Here, the East Coast, as we all know, that's why a lot of bands are touring out here a lot, because it's just easier to get from city to city in a couple of hours as opposed to 12 hours, you know?
Sure.
That's true.
and I was going to add, we already own everything we need to tour. Like from all of the bands we've been in, we own all the equipment, we own the tour vehicles, we own the trailer. We don't have to buy anything. We're already ready to go. We just need the shows to play.
Yeah, it's just about
and,
us.
and have
You know,
the material out. Yeah.
the first thing is it's different now. You used to go out and put flyers up and do stuff like that on the street level in the 80s and 90s, if you will, maybe or even early 2000s. Now with the internet, it's about creating a web, and we're doing it. None of us are geniuses on the internet, but we're just doing what we can do because we're in control of our destiny, and that's one of the most powerful things that anybody can have. It doesn't matter how fucking grandiose it is or whatever. That's all a mindset, and your perspective can change and grow with your mindset changing and growing as you change and you grow, and so should the beast that you're creating.
Yeah, I would. You just mentioned about social media. That right there, you guys are just hitting that, running, because that's huge anymore. If you're not on TikTok, not on Facebook, you might as well just give it up. And you guys are putting stuff out, 2-3 times a day, and that's what you have to do to get your word out there and get some following. It's crazy how it works, but you guys seem to be just killing it with that.
Well, no one has a drive like nobody else. It's insane, his work ethic. It's funny because after I left Gemini Syndrome, I deleted all my social media accounts. So I just started a new one when we released our first song. I was like, I guess I gotta get back on the old social media. So I'm back on there now, but I wasn't for many years.
Yeah, and the same actually goes for me. I actually was lackadaisical after in many big pockets because I just didn't give a shit and I didn't want to adapt. I'll be honest. I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not dealing with this fucking crap. It's a headache. It's too much. Right. It's too fucking much, as my friend Max Noche, the clothing designer, said. Hey, Joe, no, it's too fucking much. And I'm like, yes. So, but it took me a minute to fucking shake the baby. I had to fucking knock myself in the dick a few times and wake the fuck up. And we got to do this shit, and there's no excuses anymore. So here we are, fucking toot on.
And that goes right to the DIY thing you're talking about, and it's right there in your hands or at your fingertips is the social media aspect, and you get what you put into it. You get out of it what you put. And TBT and I are the same. He is much more into the social networking thing than I am. I'm more like NoOne, where I'm like, whatever, it's too much. But that's just me being a little lackadaisical about it. But recently, we've been.
I suffer from that condition as well. But I rub some cream off, and eventually it falls off onto the floor, and you just step on it, and it's like, move on. But it keeps scrolling back. I gotta scratch it, you fucking motherfucker. But we're back. We're good. All good.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. We're all just lazy sons of bitches because we live in a fucking coddled society. Let's be honest. The Matrix is a fucking cushy bitch.
Right, and that's probably where you lyrically are drawing some of your inspiration from, is that societal mores and some of the societal burn we're seeing.
The human condition has definitely been tested to its extreme, and I'd say organized society as a whole is, it's funny because some people say 2,000 years, we've been around 6,000 years, and it's 10,000 years. It's like, fucking dude, we've been around for millions of fucking years, man. Civilizations have been destroyed. I'm just hypothesizing. I don't really know anything, but because I'm NoOne, so that says it all. I'm just NoOne. So the bottom line is, the best part is, honestly, it's been fucking happening. Everything is everything. Everything is cyclical. When you look back, you can see the path forward. One and done, man. Easy peasy Japanesey. Except the fucking human condition makes us grind and fucking dilute and fucking divert and fucking suppress and fucking lift up and move around, and now we're back and it's all good. So we just fucking human condition never stops. You know what I'm saying?
See, and this is exactly where all of the energy comes from for these videos.
Yes.
I blame my parents and my uncle.
Your videos, if you haven't watched them, everybody needs to go check them out. All the ones that they've put out, which has been one for each of the 5 singles. They're they're funny. And I think Ace alluded to this earlier. They're funny. And then they get serious. Ace got creeped out because he sent me a text and said, I just got creeped out. But they, and they're not, to me, they're not typical, but that's what I liked about them. It's not, we don't have MTV where everybody's just putting up spotlights and, playing an acoustic guitar, with their big hair and all that. You guys are putting some thought into it. And when you see, I could imagine, and I don't know if you guys, I would imagine you probably had the cops called on you when you guys were going down the sidewalk, looking at dogs and whatnot for one of your videos that everybody needs to go check out. But
yeah. Basically, there's always somebody's complaining, somebody's scared. We're like, we're not mugging you. Sorry. Yeah.
We've
So for
adopted the
sure.
guerrilla style shoot where it's just gonzo guerrilla style. We pick a look. We actually, I'll be honest with you, we went out and it took a little group of us in an SUV, and we just drove south, towards Tampa, and just was like, okay, get out here and shoot. And we just gonzo, and we go a little further and shoot here. Oh yeah, do this. And we just did it. And then we were supposed to go to Tampa, and we're looking for a cool water backdrop, and we couldn't really find it. So we just ended up keep going, and we were looking for a downtown scene, and we missed Tampa downtown somehow. So we just, let's check out St. Augustine. Charles, he's like, let's check out St. Augustine. And we're like, dude, I think that's pretty fucking far. And he's like, no, just get on the road and go. He was like, just go, man. It's no big deal. I was like, fuck, all right. And we just started. So we end up in St. Augustine in this little old historic downtown.
Was it
nothing,
St. Pete?
and nobody and myself got out and just went silly on it. I don't think they were ready for that town.
Yeah.
No, I've been there. They were definitely not ready.
It was very like hippie chill, not even hippie chill, more like just, nice people having a dainty time about their day, and we were not that dainty time at all.
No, it's the old.
I offered everybody some of my milk. Nobody wanted any of my milk. So weird.
If you had been in downtown LA, this would not have been an issue at all. It would
have been the norm.
It's just another day.
Yeah, that's for sure.
A funny story on downtown LA. Nothing and I have been working together for a long time, and I put out a bunch of solo songs after my motorcycle accident, and I started. That's how I got out of the near death kind of situation, or whatever you want to call it, the depression of having to cancel tours with my band Jive and yada yada. So I wrote all these songs, and I started, we started doing it, and Charles started coming on and recording guitar here and bass there, and then he started getting more involved. But a few songs in, I don't even remember how songs I did this one single, and we were we're trying to figure out what are we going to shoot for this song, for this video. What was the song? It was called The Great Unknown by Joe Gra, obviously. And we were like we were spitballing, and Charles was like, he was like, let's just go to downtown. And it was during the pandemic when the downtown was shut down completely. And so we went down there, and it was a fucking ghost town. You never see that in LA. So we were just going around filming it with, a barren, like a post-apocalyptic downtown LA. I just had to give you that
cars,
anecdote.
no people. It was weird.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have to be very surrealistic and very, I don't know, dystopian.
My favorite one, he's a good sport about this. I was like, dude, check this out as an idea, right? Well, the video would just be all these shots of these woods, right? For like 2 minutes of the song. And then like after like 2 minutes, I'll pan down to the ground, and out of the ground, you'll just see sticking a toe. And then you're going to crawl out of your grave. So I actually buried him in the dirt and shot
under
him
the ground,
crawling out of the
completely.
grave. And that's the end of the video.
It's like and we had to do it like 6 or 7 times, like 8 times or something. It was a lot. He kept he'd wait to my face and keep it under, and then he'd be like, "You ready?" I'm like, "All right." I hold my breath, and all this dirt would go onto my face. And then you're trying to lift up, and it's heavy as fuck. So it was crazy, dude.
And then I'm like, "It looks too dry. I'm gonna spray it down with some water."
It really only needed to be done like 3 times, but let's keep doing it 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Oh, I had it the first time. I just wanted to do it. But yeah, the other trick is like, how do you shoot videos with no money? And that's when you got to really use the noggin. So, the best thing I did was invest in a really, really nice camera. And of course, I didn't know how to use it, right? But hey, if you're going to be in a band nowadays, you got to know how to do that. And then I didn't know how to edit videos, so you got to get Premiere Pro. And guess what? Hey, you got to learn how to do that. And hey, you got to be good at social media. Man, when I learned how to play guitar, I just wanted to play the guitar. But now you got to do all that
Yeah,
stuff.
well, I edit the videos too, and we had to
He
both get
does.
Adobe. I don't know if you're still paying your monthly fee. I am, which sucks. I hate it,
That's
but
why
I
I
try to
edit
cut
at
them
your
off. But we
house.
got to keep that one, so it works out really well. Charles and I,
Yeah.
the best thing about this relationship, or nothing, if you will. Come on, we all know the truth. But the bottom line is nothing, and I'm no one. And our little chemistry is pretty fucked up, but it creates some fucking sick shit because we're both workaholics. When we're in the moment, when we lose our little self-worthlessness moments, and we move through it and we become our strength, man, we fucking bang this shit like hard. It works pretty well. I'm pretty pleased.
Yeah, the dynamics between you two are awesome. So let's talk about Nobody.
All right, let's talk about Nobody.
Well,
Nobody.
How did he get involved?
I met Nobody on tour while I was playing in Gemini Syndrome. We were on tour with Seven Dust in a band called Red Sun Rising.
Yeah.
And I noticed after being out for like 2 weeks that there was always this guy, that would always set up his drums in the middle of the floor, like where the crowd would stand, before the doors would open. And he would like painstakingly like shine his drums and like shine his cymbals. And I could just tell him like, oh, I'm like, that dude's like one of those drummers, like those badass like drummers. So then I started watching him play, and he has like that feel of like almost like John Bonham kind of meets like a little bit of like a Tool vibe, I guess, or like the Refused or something, like very like just really interesting fills. And I was like, damn, I was like, I gotta get that guy's number and I'm gonna remember him. And so I always befriend as many people as I can on the road. So I got his number. And then lo and behold, fast forward, we hit him up and I was like, hey man, we got these songs. Can you play drums on them? And then we did it during quarantine, and we did it over Zoom and this other thing that he uses for the sound, so you can hear it, and you can actually hear the multi-track and like actually hear what he's playing and see him through Zoom. And we were both just like the songs like totally came to life in a way that I would have never thought that they could. Like his use of fills, like if you listen to those songs and you listen to some of those damn fills, they're just like, and then just his style and his like pocket, like his groove. I was like, dude,
Yeah,
that guy's
he's
gotta
got
be.
this fucking slinky pop thing. I call it slinky pop, where he slides into the fucking impact. Most people like when I started as a drummer, as a big metal drummer, thrash metal drummer, punk rock drummer, whatever you want to call it, in the early days. I shouldn't have said big because I was a little guy, I was a fucking kid. But the bottom line is, let's be honest. I thought I knew what we needed for the drums, and I thought it was going to be more of a straight Bonham kind of vibe, like heavy, straight, big open. And that's the drums that I was programming for us when I was doing the drums and all the production for the music in the beginning days. And then it became, Charles has a totally different ear for drums because he's not a drummer. So he hears it fucking in a way that a drummer you can't do it as a drummer because you can't get out on your own fucking way. So it's like he was hearing this other thing and it was bringing this other element. But then when Pat fucking came in, it was like, or Nobody, if you will. Let's be honest, we all know the names. But the bottom line is when I heard what he did, it blew my fucking mind. It changed my whole perception. Like, I didn't think we needed progressive drums, and they're very progressive, and I fucking like it. I love it, actually.
Yeah. And he's like, not only that, like, but when he tracks and I get the files back, he's like dead on time. It's the craziest
Yeah.
thing. It's like the only thing I have to do is edit. I'm like, I don't want this fill from this take. I want the fill from this take, and then I move that over. And so, in addition, I do all that stuff too. We call it administrative work when you're doing that sort of stuff. And so, but yeah, everything turns out great, and he's just such a good guy, and he's such an amazing player. Yeah, I can't say. I mean, he's the best. He's just so damn good.
And it's crazy how the three of you were able to just kind of, melt together to create what we've already heard so far. I know I'm looking forward to the next three. Spring can't get here close enough in regards to the freaking half foot of snow outside. Plus, it's horrible, and we got more coming tonight.
Everybody, I did buy some 7 and 8 string guitars for the songs after that. So I'm starting to get real heavy with some stuff. So that's going to be really exciting. So, but our sound is not going to change. Our vibe, like our sound developed over years. Like we know what our band sounds like. and I know the kind of things that make our band sound the way it does, and I'm always going to do those things, but I just want to find new cool ways to do them. Like
we're
I
not
make
looking to be confined into any radio format or anything like that, but if the radio plays our songs, that's fucking awesome, because our stuff is concise and it sounds right. There are many songs that are concise, but no limitations. Am I correct? Nothing?
That's right.
Unlike TBT, I think when you talk about radio, I think that would fit right in on something like you would hear on Octane or something. I mean, it's got a modern sheen to it. It's heavy. It's pretty impressive what you've done on the budget you have and what you've done just by yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, we did everything. We did everything ourselves at our house. Literally everything except mixing.
Right.
We've got a great guy, Evan Rodenshade. I told you early. He really, we can really hear it now. I've been working with Evan through all my solo stuff. He's done all my solo stuff, and I've known him for a while. A great guitar player from Central America. Has a band called Cage 9 and has played in Powerman 5000 and other bands. He's a great. He's done a lot of records now, and I've watched him grow through the years. And he really does. We're pretty honestly. NoThing and I are really concise and like I deliver my shit fully produced. He delivers his shit fully produced. We could release it like that, honestly, and people would nobody would even fucking shake a tail, you know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is we strive for more. And when you bring in that extra element, somebody who and NoThing as well has been working with him inadvertently as well, because he's been working with me on my solo stuff, as it developed.
We shared a rehearsal room in downtown Los Angeles where our doors are right across from each other. So I saw him every day for 10 years. So
yeah, we have a relationship.
Yeah.
He really brings something to the table. Is where I was leading, is that we're really hearing it now, because we're both paying attention to everything, because as we get into this, the quality is going to keep rising, and so we're going to be very astute and very alert of what is happening sonically and frequency. We've been trying different things. We were working with different. We had a mastering engineer we've been working with in London, and then we've also got other people to explore as well as in the whole aspect, and hopefully in the future we'll bring other guys into the band. We'll obviously, NoThing and I are the central writing core, but the best part of a unified group is people bringing fresh perspectives, and that's a wonderful thing for anybody.
Well, we got had a question come up from somebody. They want to know who your guys look at as your influences.
Oh, that's easy. I'll go first. Tool, by far, is probably my favorite band of all time, followed by Deftones. I would say Nine Inch Nails was a really early. That's what actually I saw a Nine Inch Nails video, and that's when I was like, maybe I can do that. And not even so much as the music, even though I do love their album, The Downward Spiral. It's one of the best albums ever created, I think. And then I listen to a lot of really obscure. This brings out the lighter side of things, like Icelandic synth pop, and like weird Swedish like synthy like folk stuff, just to get ideas for like new melodies. But as far as like hard rock and metal goes, yeah, pretty much stuff like that. I also love like Periphery, and I like Tesseract and progressive metal like that as well a lot too. Super into all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd say I came up on, early on, it was a lot of punk rock stuff, a lot of like HR from Bad Brains. I loved his presence and his energy, and obviously loved, Chris Cornell was a major vocal influence on me for sure. There's no denying that. And even Robert Plant, per se, because he was the original Chris Cornell. And people even like Perry Farrell and his cathartic, kinetic, insane live presentation, and just his delays and just the things he does, that definitely affected me for sure. And even the first, I'm not going to lie, the first Pearl Jam record that came out 10, I didn't know who they were, and I saw them accidentally on tour in Kansas City. My ex-girlfriend took me up there for my birthday to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And it was Smashing Pumpkins, who I'd never heard of, and Pearl Jam opened. I saw him do things that blew my fucking mind. I mean, he did some shit, and then the crowd, and it felt like a revolution. And I was a drummer at that time, and I immediately, within a short period of time, was in Dallas starting Jive and being a singer and yada yada. So those earlier bands, and then the newer, stuff like Bob Marley for his just messaging and his vibe and his just reflectionary truth serum, his fucking shamanism, his everything. it really fucking connected with me. And you know, I got caught up in the whole Morrison thing as well. Like any other singer with any kind of anything, you know, you pay attention to the people before you. And he definitely brought some stuff to the table. I wish he would have been less of a hypocrite, but then again, I was a hypocrite for many years as well. So when you don't, you know, when you don't die early on, you get to fucking evolve. That's the best part, or the worst part, depending who's counting the fucking chips. So many others, you know, heavier bands like Tool and Rage Against the
You like the
Machine, that
gorilla? He
energy
loves
and that vibe.
gorillas. He loves the
The
gorillas.
The Gorillas, I forgot about. Thank you. I've been through so many things. The Gorillas actually, yeah, that influenced my solo stuff very much. But inside the Trojan Horse, actually, no, I can't lie. There's stuff in Children that I was influenced. I won't lie. In Children, there's stuff that comes because it was in that time and space when I was really into Gorillas. So there's influences all over the place. I got into that early Arctic Monkeys record that was all punk rock. The way he was messaging in that, it blew my fucking mind because he was young and he was pissed and it was like Sex Pistols and he was telling these stories in such a vivid way. It actually affected me in a major way. And a lot of different things happened, but I'd say the most that affects me now is the human condition as I pay attention to it and watch it and see the changes and the sea change that we're in. And also working with NoThing. It really, once I hear the music, it doesn't even matter what happened before or after. It's just that.
And I should mention this. One of my other all-time favorite bands is Massive Attack. On a trip hop, right? And I've been for the last 2 years, and I have several songs that are unfinished. I'm trying to figure out how do I blend trip hop with a modern progressive metal sound, and I'm getting there. So be on the lookout for that at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, no corners will be unturned. That's our obligation as artists reflecting. We have to grow. It's important.
Well, NoOne, for what it's worth, I was talking to Ace earlier, and he mentioned, and then I went and re-listened again, and I agreed with him. We can both hear a little bit of Sammy Hagar in your voice on some occasions.
You know, I toured with Sammy Hagar and I toured with David Lee Roth, and I unfortunately got us thrown off that David Lee Roth tour, but that's a whole nother story. But Sammy Hagar was is actually one of the coolest because I've toured in all the Incarnation bands and things I've done. I've toured with a lot of, and also living in LA and a lot of my friends are blah 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 or whatever. So it's like the bottom line is he's one of the coolest motherfuckers down to earth. That's like always just fucking cool, man. First time we played the Balloon Fest. My band Jive in El Paso, Texas, like 5,500 people. It looked really beautiful. It was a great show. And they just let us have let us do everything. We killed it. Fucking went into the little trailer in the backstage and right after we're done and knock on the door. And I'm like, oh shit, what did I do wrong? Because there's always like, you broke a monitor, a microphone, whatever. There's a problem. So anyway, fucking it's Sammy with a bottle of his tequila. He comes in, fucking let's do a shot. And it was me and Toby, the guitar player, and him. And it's really good experience with him. I had to mention that because I like to pay homage to cool motherfuckers, you know, when they're cool, because there's a lot of fucktards, you know.
Yes, there are.
Oh, and I should add, obviously, one of the most important things that I've learned from my guitar playing is the edges sound on like where the streets have no name. Digga 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 digga. That dotted eighth note delay. That's one of the most important things I feel like that like developed my playing style. So I should say
it's
early
a common,
to like
I'd say
Joshua Tree.
that and his Sabbath. He's got these Sabbath style riffs, you know, Soundgarden-y, Sabbath-y kind of just wow now 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 now. It just blows your fucking mind when you hear it. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna fucking ride. You just don't even know what's happening. You just get possessed. At least I do.
Well, I was being influenced by Audio Slave and Rage, who was being influenced by them. That's where that came from. You know, like Cochise, down, 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 down.
Exactly.
Like just slow and heavy. That's what I liked. I like slow and heavy. So,
real quick, NoOne, like you said, you started out as a drummer, and then saw other frontmen and what they were doing and how they engaged with an audience, and it inspired you. But did you always know you could sing, or how did you develop that over time? Did you take some lessons? Because you got some nice vocal range.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a good question. I I did not take any lessons. I haven't taken any lessons. I basically, as a child, I was by myself a lot, you know, and I had a lot of Motown albums and 7 inches, and a lot of doo wop and a lot of that, you know, that Motown side, the Platters, the Spinners, the Four Tops, the Four Seasons, Diana Ross, like all that shit. And so I just would sit at home when I get scared. I was a little kid, and I'd sing along, you know. So I think that's where it came from, and then I was singing and playing drums in the last incarnation of the band Morbid Truth out of Tulsa when we got a little developmental deal there before I ended up leaving and starting Jive in Dallas. I was singing as well a little bit, and I'd always written lyrics and poetry, if you will, for quite a while, and it just happened. And honestly, we were touring right out of the gates. I was booking us. I was taking whatever, a bag of weed, $50, whatever, a fountain drink, whatever. And we drive thousands. I got some money from an inheritance from a relative I didn't know, so I just used it to launch the band, to get a van and trailer, do the whole 9 yards. And we'd be out just touring, you know, thousands all over the place in the beginning days. And we were somewhere. I think we played Memphis at the Beale Street Music Festival, I want to say, and we had like a day off, and then we were playing in New Orleans. And so we were going through, and we didn't have anywhere to go because we didn't have a hotel, we didn't have the budget, so we were going to sleep. We were sleeping in the van, and we went to a truck stop on the side of the road. And Ben and I, the drummer, were just stanking hard, and we just wanted to rinse off. So there was a spigot right there, so we started rinsing off in it. And then unfortunately, we didn't know about, you know, black water and things of that nature at the time. So we didn't know that was for your fucking, you know, to clean out your fucking septic tank or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
So basically, we were at, you know, rotten egg water. We had to go truck stop clean up. But anyway, I got sick. I got a little sick and heady, and so the next day we were in New Orleans. I'm telling you how I developed my voice, basically, to cut a story short. Basically, I went on stage in New Orleans, and in the second song, I went, ah! And I couldn't make a fucking sound, a breath noise, a dewdrop, a fucking pin. I could not make a sound, so I didn't know what to fucking do because we had just started. It was early days, and I was just the first time I was singing. So basically, I started grabbing merch and walking around getting merch, and then I just went outside, and I think I smoked pot or some shit to, you know, wallow in my sorrow. And then it came back on a day or two later, and I've had problems here and there, but you know, especially as you get older, you have to keep your voice in check. And once I do the things that I need to do, I don't have as, you know, many problems are really problems instead. Like today, we had a really great rehearsal, and I felt really strong. And the thing is you just have to be aware of yourself, and that goes for everything, in every situation, in every facet of life. And that's what I apply to the vocal now, is to just make sure I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. Because in the early days, I'll be honest, all I did is I'd take copious amounts of drugs and slam copious amounts of alcohol and just dive off into the infinite universe and break everything, including myself. And now it's a more constructive rather than deconstructive approach. So it's a different thing, but it took a long time to get here, and I'm happy to be here. I really am. And it's cool because nothing just moved. I moved here from LA 4 years ago, and a few months back, he moved right down the street. So now we're, you know, like we were in Hollywood, you know, banging it, getting it done.
Now we can rehearse together. It's awesome the way we have it set up with our in-ear setup. We have the sessions, and I put the drums in there, so we have the drums playing while we jam. So and the bass as well. So it sounds like we're playing as a four piece, but it's just the two of us. And so we're doing that until we can get our drummer in to come jam with us, you know, due to scheduling. But this is just good because then we can just do this every day, since we only live like 6 miles apart now, and just every day, just go through the songs every day.
Well, with you guys having such a background in, you know, past few years and, you know, 10, 20 years in the music business, if someone's up and coming now, what's the best advice, which I think I know the answer, but what's the best advice you guys would give that up and coming band?
Learn how to use Pro Tools and write your own music.
And trust yourself. Always listen to the inner voice, and understand there's a difference between instinct and impulse. They're not the same.
Yeah, that's pretty sound advice, really, because I can see the wisdom in that.
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't even matter if you're the best musician. It just matters that you're authentic.
Exactly. Authenticity is the only thing that's going to matter where the sea changes is taking us, in my experience. Not that I have the answers or the solutions, but I have reflections honestly and purely from paying a lot attention, quite a bit. And the sea change that we're headed to is a different vibration that we've been dealing with in the past. And there's not going to be any room for shortcomings and divisiveness. And, you know, it's going to be so last fucking year, like gag me with a fucking barnyard tool. You know what I'm saying?
Well, to use the proverbial sky's the limit, you guys have nothing in your way. No pun intended. You guys are going to probably end up a lot just out there. Crazy good first original EP with the first 5 songs. The next one coming out again is Origins. It's going to come out this spring. We cannot wait for that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the names are Dogs, 15, and Children.
Correct.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, we don't want to keep you guys much longer. We're hitting our time. We want to thank everybody that's watched this episode and everybody that was up into the live chat. We're going to ask NoOne and NoThing to stay on the line with us as we bring this to a close. Make sure you tune in to us next week. Ace and I will be back. Enjoy this. If you didn't get a chance to listen or watch, be sure to go watch a replay on Facebook or YouTube, or just listen to it wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you so much for having us, guys.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.